Every county has like a Miss Dublin South, a Miss Dublin West.
Miss Blanche.
Miss Blanchestown.
Meet Jasmine Gerhardt, Miss Ireland 2023.
Law graduate with a Masters in Human Rights, dedicated to women's rights and social justice.
It's all about charity work and raising awareness for something that's close to your heart. There's different scenarios in life and you don't really realise what you have till you see what someone else doesn't have. It's nearly so far away from our reality. I've worked with domestic violence charities.
In the homeless centres, you were trying to say?
Safe houses in Dublin. All of those shelters are full of women who can't go back to their own home. They have restraining orders and you have injunctions, but in Ireland, courts are very slow to intervene. It leaves the mother and the child with nowhere to go.
Before we start this episode, I would like to thank each and every one of you for listening to these episodes. If you could take a couple of more seconds out your time, share, like, subscribe, follow on whatever platform you're listening on. It would honestly mean so much to us and would help us grow the podcast. Now let's get straight to the episode. Hey Jasmine, how are you?
Good.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's my first podcast, so I'm a bit...
I thought you would have done a few. You've been on the radio, you mentioned, though, haven't you?
Yeah. I've done a few radio interviews, so I hope this goes well now. I don't
stutter. Just try move it this a little bit closer. Yeah,
okay?
You can move it over. Yeah,
that's grand. Right.
So, how are you?
I'm good. I was away for a bit, so I'm back now in Ireland. So I'm adapting to the weather here.
Yeah, you said you were in Spain, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in Spain for a few months, so I don't know if I got much of a colour.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it sunbeds, tan?
No,
or?
That's actually my natural colour. I'm half German, so I guess that could be where it comes from.
I'm like, are Germans tan? I'm a quarter, if we want to go into that now.
Oh, here we go, look.
Or am I? No, I don't actually mean. My nanny's dad was German. So what's that?
Your nanny's dad. So that would make you, like a quarter German.
Yeah.
Quarter.
Don't have any.
Do you speak German?
No, I don't. Just remember my dad saying that to me.
Yeah, there you go.
But did you ever get, actually, this is completely off the topic of the podcast, I got my heritage thing done for the laugh.
Oh my God.
Did you ever get that?
Yeah.
No? Did you get it done?
No, well actually my brother got it done and it was like just it was mad. He was like 71% English and I was like, right, I don't know if I want to take one now because like I guess my dad's German, my mom's Irish, and then my nanny's mom is Italian, so I think there's like a load of different things going on there.
Yeah, it's good to see though, and if anyone else has done it, it will come up like if you have like relatives,
to, like, a cousin or something.
Yeah. Now I have loads of third, fourth cousins in America and all this.
So you always have a place to stay.
Yeah, no, I have never ever met up. Don't know who they are. Imagine I was to text someone being like, "Hey, look, I'm gonna go over for holidays. Do you mind if I stay in your house?"
The heritage thing says we're related.
Yeah,
it is pretty cool though, because I know people have found like siblings and like cousins that live in the same town and like family members. So.
Yeah, like I done it because my friend said she done it, and a cousin came up, like a full cousin that she never even met, like, and they were just like showing it to me, and I was like, fuck it. I was like, it's not. I think it was like cheap enough. I was like, I'll just do it for the laugh. I think she like pulled like 5 hair strands out and sent it off. I was like to my mum, I was like, I came in and I was like, do you have something to tell me before I do this now? And she was just like, what? I was like, is me dad my real dad, or is there anything?
Just taking it to the full extremes.
Like I was messing, like, but
what did it come back as?
So my dad's my real dad. Only
that's great. That's always a plus.
It actually doesn't even say if both my parents are my parents, because they're not on it, so they can't actually test it.
Compare your
but
DNA.
like, so I'm not adopted. I don't know. But what it just came up like what countries I'm more from.
Yeah,
it was
like where your roots come from.
Yeah, and then just brought me up a load of third, fourth, fifth cousins and
why not?
All
more
of that.
The merrier.
Yeah, it's just it's funny in anyways.
It's nice though, I guess, like because I know when my brother did it, it kind of came up that he was from, I guess. Sorry, just hit the mic there. He was from like north, I guess like Germany, like where Norway, Sweden would be, and then that kind of area. So it's obviously like it goes way back. So it's like when the Celts kind of emigrated to like the UK and top of the UK and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know if I'm afraid I'd have that situation. I'd have to be like Parent Trap vibes.
Yeah.
Like, where's my long lost sibling that I don't know about?
So we literally went completely off topic there. But and anyways, so yeah, take me back to when you were little.
When I was little.
So it's obviously you're Miss Universe Ireland.
Miss Ireland.
Oh,
yeah,
right,
I'm
okay.
Miss Ireland. So
Miss World, isn't it? You said.
Yeah, I'm going to Miss World hopefully in February or March. They actually haven't released a date yet. But I actually got into pageants through my mum. She was in the Miss Ireland, and as far as I know, she was Miss Dublin as well.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's not every county has like a Miss. And then because Dublin's so big, they have like a Miss Dublin South, a Miss Dublin West, Dublin East, Dublin City Centre.
Yeah.
Goes on and on
That
and on
is
and on. But yeah,
Miss Blanche.
Miss Blanche is down repping here. No, she entered in, oh God, like back in the day. So when I was 17, I entered in for the very first time into Miss Ireland, and I won Beauty with a Purpose at the time, and that's kind of the whole route behind that pageant, I guess. It's all about charity work and raising awareness for something that's close to your heart, and raising funds as well for the charities and bringing attention to them, I guess, to the Irish public and worldwide. So I won that at 17, my Beauty with a Purpose, and I think I fundraised actually for the Marie Keating charity for breast cancer. My mum went through cancer, so that was something kind of very close to my heart. I remember, I think I did like a blind dating thing in the right venue, so that was hilarious.
And that was for charity, like
yeah. So
that's gone now, right?
yeah,
That was been years ago.
that's not here anymore. I think I haven't been outside, like out on a night out in Dublin in so
been
long.
outside.
I haven't been outside, but the right venue is gone. That used to be a great place, though. It was really fun. I have to say.
I would have probably went there. How old are you?
I'm 26.
Oh, right, yeah.
How old are you?
27.
Oh,
yeah, I probably would have went at around the same time, yeah.
The attitude
mad.
discos.
Oh, don't even get me started with that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I entered in when I was 17, and then I did Miss Universe Ireland actually when I was 19. Brittany Mason was the director at the time of that. She was great. And then 25, I entered back into Miss Ireland, came first runner-up, so second place. That was pretty devastating, but I guess everything in life happens for a reason. And yeah, entered in again last year and won. So third time lucky. So pageants have been something I've always been involved in growing up, I guess. And it was something I really worked towards my whole career, I guess. I love the thought of representing your country. Like, I'm so excited to go to Miss World, and I have so much charity work that I've done through the pageant. So yeah, that's my story with the pageants.
Yeah, so that was obviously when you were growing up, that's what you wanted to. Is that from like your mum or watching movies or?
Do you know what's so weird? I was always pretty infatuated with like pageants and Miss Universe and Miss World, because I always thought that's the woman I want to be. And I guess, yeah, I tried a lot of times before I actually got to where I want to go and got the crown in the end. But yeah, it's something I always aimed towards. You know, I always thought like, wow, imagine being Miss World or Miss Universe, or so that was what's in the back of my head with the whole thing. Yeah.
And I'd say it's a lot of hard work. Like, what does it take to actually be Miss Universe or Miss Ireland? Or
it does take a lot of work, I'm not going to lie, and I guess you really have to have a passion for helping people, and that's something that I always possessed, I guess. I have a law degree and a master's in human rights and European Union law, so I always wanted to use my degrees to have a voice for people who don't, and I've worked with so many charities over the years. As I said, Marie Keating charity, I worked with the Simon community, I've worked with the Hope Foundation, I've worked with domestic violence charities, which is something that was actually my Beauty with a Purpose last year. I want to continue doing that, I think. So I was using my law degree basically to go into shelters and try set up legal clinics, because I kind of wanted to link, I guess, students in college to real life issues that are going on in Ireland, and to show people that, you know, this is something that's right at our doorstep that's not really being addressed. And I think if you install that in someone going through college doing law, they have way more awareness of it when they come out, and they'd be willing probably to give more time to that pro bono while they're working as a lawyer.
So, wait, I'm like, so you were trying to, in the homeless centres, you were trying to set up?
No, so domestic violence shelters. So
right,
basically,
okay, sorry.
when women would call, they'd call like the likes of Aoibhneas or Saoirse. These are like safe houses around Ireland, or Dublin, sorry, those two specifically, where they can go if they're basically fearful of their life, or, you know, they have someone at home that is abusing them. They can go there with their children and they look after them there. So instead of them having to go seek legal advice outside that safe haven, I was trying to bring it into the clinics.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was places for women to go if they were getting abused at home or whatever.
Yeah, to be honest, it was something that until I guess worked for those charities, I actually seen the extent of what they do to protect women and children in Ireland against domestic violence. And it's very scary because all of those shelters are full. They're full of women who are living in fear of their life and can't go back to their own home with their families. Yeah.
And why, like, it's mad. Like, so you think obviously it'd be the other way around. Like, obviously the women are there with their kids, and then what, is the husband still at home living there? Like,
yeah,
can they not, like, there should be a law where if that's the case,
yeah,
you'd need to go and find somewhere else to live. Not the whole family has to move out.
No, it's true. But the thing is, I guess, when that happens and those situations arise,
they just want to leave.
Yeah, they have to just run. Like, it's essentially like they're running away from someone who's trying to.
But then
kill them
eventually,
in serious situations.
would they say if there was a case to open up or whatever? Does that happen where they can go back home and then he has to go somewhere else?
I mean, they have restraining orders and you have injunctions, but most of the time as well in Ireland, the courts are very slow to intervene with this type of situations, and it leaves the mother and the child, and the children even, with basically nowhere to go. And this is why these charities are actually so important. And when I went in and seen the work they do, I mean, they have, you know, cooking places so the women can go and cook all together for the children. They have play areas, you know, they can integrate them then into local schools. But essentially it's not safe for them to go home. Because, as I said, legislation in Ireland, it's not strong enough to protect women. There needs to be serious improvements to it, definitely. Because no woman should have to live in fear in her own home of someone, you know, coming home from the pub. And it's just, and also it affects the children massively. It's all, you know, it's like a domino effect when that goes on in your household, how that affects you as an adult growing up. It's as a child, the trauma. And you bring that into your adulthood, and then, you know, it's a cycle nearly. So definitely the government needs to look into that way more, because as I said, it's a massive issue because all of these shelters are full. The refuge, like, it's all completely max capacity majority of the time. And especially as well, I remember in Saoirse, there's a lovely lady, she showed me around, and she was saying, explaining to me that most of the time their busiest times are Christmas time, you know, because there's all this pressure put on a family, and, you know, everyone's out celebrating, drinking. Obviously Irish culture, there's so much alcohol involved, and, you know, he's coming home, and that's the scenario of it. So at a time when it's meant to be very happy for a family, you know, the mother and the children are in refuge, separated from their family because they're fearful of what's going to happen to her. Yeah,
that's mental, isn't it? The time of the year that's meant to be like
the happiest is that. And do you know what's so scary as well? Like, obviously a lot of those women, they're very much scared, and they don't ever, you know, feel like they can do anything because they're with someone who constantly just tries to put them down and tell them they're this and that. And also, it's not just physical abuse, it's verbal abuse, it's mental abuse that they've gone through for years and years and years. And you see some women there now in some of those refuge where they you know, they've gotten out of those abusive relationships. They've sought help through Aoibhneas, you know, through Saoirse and all of these women's aid, all of these charities that help these people go through these situations. And they've progressed so much. They have careers, you know, they have their own financial income. They're not fearful of, you know, when's the next time that, you know, they're going to go home and something bad is going to happen to them. They have their independence. And that's all through these charities that have helped them get to there. And it just goes to show as well, I guess there's so much, you know, there's always a way out. It's a very scary thing to leave a household like that, because at the end of the day as well, as a woman, you want to stay and keep your family together, but there is options and solutions. And, you know, once you take that step, there is charities like Aoibhneas and Saoirse and Women's Aid that will be there to support you and to help you get through it. So that's always reassuring going through situations like that, because I hope even if someone watches this and they are in a situation like that, that there is a way out.
And like, are these places only for, like, could someone who's gone through mental health abuse go to this? Or would it have to be just physical kind of violence more?
No, I mean, it's basically if a woman and a child feels like, you know, they have to leave the house or something, you know, imminent is going to happen. I guess with mental health, that's slightly different in the sense that that could be something that you're going through alone, I guess, in your head, rather than someone else inflicting that on you, which is more that kind of domestic abuse where, you know, you have someone in your household that is you're married to or you're with that's physically or mentally abusing you and your children. Not that that isn't a form of mental health, that is a massive form of mental health, but it's just a bit of a different scenario. But obviously with mental health, there's so many organisations as well you can reach out to, Pieta House and these kind of things. And I think nowadays as well, it's so prominent that young people feel like very stuck in life with these kind of things, that, you know, you have these thoughts in your head or you go through really bad stages. But I always say in life, as someone who's struggled with that myself, there is ways to combat it and there is light at the end of the tunnel with all of these types of things. It just takes that inner strength or that support from the likes of those organisations to give you that push and that help, because, you know, as I said, there's light at the end of the tunnel, definitely.
Yeah, and you've worked with other charities then as well, haven't you?
Yeah, at the moment I'm working with the Hope Foundation, and they're based in Calcutta in India, and they are amazing. The CEO of that charity and the founder, Maureen Forrest, she is like the most inspiring woman I've ever met. I'm so lucky to be an ambassador for them, and I went to Calcutta in India in March, and that was an amazing experience, just seeing how, you know what it is for me, like I'm really proud to be Irish, and I love to see how the Irish have changed so many lives of children and women and men in other countries and given them the chance that we have in Ireland, you know, to be educated, to have a safe home, to have clean water. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. And I also was in Africa 2 weeks ago. I love traveling as well. That's like a big thing for me.
Yeah, and what obviously it's such a big difference seeing what people live like over in Africa and these places. What have you noticed that we'd probably take for granted?
Everything. No, I mean, look, I guess there's different scenarios in life, and you don't really realise what you have till you see what someone else doesn't have. And when I went to Calcutta and I seen the way people live, I was just like shocked, because you see these things online and, you know, you think, oh, it's nearly so far away from our reality, so we're out of touch with it. But when you see it right there with your own eyes, you're like, wow. And these people literally have nothing. They live on the streets in like shacks with like 6-7 people in it, and there's little kids running around the street full of traffic, and it's just a reality you can't explain. And that's why I love to be part of the likes of the Hope Foundation, who give those children a chance to be educated and then to support their family. And that's like a cycle then of change. Yeah. But it was very, very different from what I expected it to be. And also, it's amazing the work that Hope do, because they've gone into also like slums and taken children out of, basically what usually happens is they would go to the landfills with their parents to collect rubbish. So they've now given the children a chance to go to crash, and they feed them and they educate them. So it's slowly changing. So the parents can drop the children in before they go off and do that, rather than bring them with them. So essentially then they become the exact same as the parents, doing the same thing to make money. But now they have a different opportunity and chance. And I think that's so important. All children need in life is a chance in those situations and an opportunity, and for someone to say, you know, let me help you. And I was a bit, you know, you can also kind of, I guess, be a bit, you can speculate that, you know, where does this money go with these charities? But I seen what Hope Foundation do. Like, most of their fundraising is done in Ireland. It's all backed by Irish people. And the work that they do, and the clinics they have, and the hospitals and the schools and the creches, it's all of every single cent of that money goes into changing people's lives. And it's so nice to see.
Yeah, and you have, see the way you mentioned there, you don't know where that money's going. You do always hear people saying that like part of it is probably going to this and that person.
I mean, obviously, I think as well, when you don't see something physically for yourself, it's hard to speculate, you know, where things go in life and what happens with that money. But as I said, when I seen the work that the Hope Foundation do, or even the Melon Charity in South Africa, every single cent of that money, and the people as well who work for those charities, how passionate they are about, they're so selfless. I mean, they would do anything for anyone. And that's every single person I've met in both of those charities are just the most amazing people ever. Like, they'd give you their right hand if they could. That's how, you know, how much they'd want to help you. And with those two foundations, I know that every single cent of that money goes into changing people's lives and building homes and educating them. And that's also something I would love to say as well to Irish people, like, fair play to the Irish population, because they have changed so many lives all over the world.
And most of these workers that probably would have went with you, they were all Irish, really?
Yeah, some of them are. The Hope Foundation, a lot of them are Irish, yes. In South Africa, when I went to the Melon Charity, so that is a charity basically where Niall Mellon, I think I can never Neil and Niall, it's like a thing with me. I just can't ever get it right. Tomato. He came, I think, to South Africa in 2002, and he was just on holiday, as far as I know, and he seen the townships, which are like the slums in India, but in Africa. And he decided basically to build new housing for them, and it's just soared. Now as well, they have literacy hubs that they're integrating into schools to help more kids to be educated, to also give them a chance. And education is so important for me, because I was the first person in my family to ever go to college. And my granddad used to always say to me, like, it's such a gift to be able to go to school and learn. And it's something I guess a lot of us take for granted, that we have the opportunity to do that here. Because in those countries, they don't. They go into whatever their families are doing, you know, which could be collecting rubbish, or, you know, something that they don't ever really have a life with, where they can't ever progress with or use, rather than just what they actually have. So, yeah.
And with the, you mentioned the domestic violence, you were trying to bring something in where they can actually get solicitors or advice and stuff like that. How were you doing that then? So the likes of Aoibhneas and Saoirse, they do have free legal aid for the women who go through these types of situations. But I was trying to, and I still will try to do this. At the moment, I'm just in and out of different projects and trying to put my sole focus on one thing. But I would love to do more legal clinics. So I was trying to set up bringing in solicitors into the refuge, so that the women could literally just go, you know, where they usually have a coffee or, you know, a cup of tea, and talk to these solicitors qualified about what their options are. A lot of these women who are in these abusive relationships, they are financially not independent. So, you know, the man controls where the money goes, and they don't have access to it. So
it kind of doesn't really give them much.
Yeah,
it's controlling,
exactly.
It's cohesive behaviour. That's a way of controlling someone and manipulating them, to not let them have access to absolutely anything, and they isolate them. Essentially, that's what it is. Yeah. So I was trying to basically link, that solicitors come into these centres and give the women legal advice so they don't have to leave. And then I was trying to kind of create a link between a college student going into those places, although the advice is not legally binding because they're not qualified lawyers. It's still kind of just even a breakdown of the options that they have. How they can maybe retrieve some money to do this or that, or how they can get out, and what types of schemes are in place with the government where they can look for housing and stuff like that.
Yeah, because a lot of people aren't actually aware of... It's not like it's being advertised on the radio or on the telly about all these different things. So if someone doesn't tell them, or they're not going to be aware of what they're actually able to qualify for, or whatever it is. Yeah.
I mean, even just to show that these are the options, because even as you said, even with us, we probably don't even know half of our options if we want to buy a house for the first time or do something like that, because it's not, as you said, publicised. So for them just to have that information and for it to be very accessible, it's so much easier, especially going through a situation like that. A slight bit of clarity as to what their future might look like is so beneficial to them.
Yeah. So you mentioned, this mic keeps rocking. You mentioned you're sitting the New Yorker bar. I'm hoping to sit the New York bar in July next year. So I'm just about to start studying with, I think the course is called Barbary, which is 10 months long. So what would that be then?
So basically, you go to law school and you can do obviously a master's if you want, or you can go and sit the bar after, which means you're a qualified attorney or lawyer or solicitor, barrister in Ireland. In Ireland, they're split in half. Usually a solicitor and barrister together is a lawyer, but they're split. So one kind of represents in the courtroom here and one does the paperwork.
Where in America you can do both at one time?
It's the
Why
same.
They don't
just
do that?
Combined.
Yeah.
Ireland and the UK, they have to be different.
Is the UK the same as well?
Yeah, it's similar, yeah.
So you could actually probably finish your degree or in America quicker and just be qualified for both then?
Well, essentially, yes. But then if you want to practice in Ireland, you have to come back and sit the bar here. So it's really about where you want to practice. So it's you have to qualify in every way. Every destination that you want to go to and work.
Yeah, because the laws and everything would be different in every country. Yeah. So
in Ireland we have common law, and in the US they have civil law. But it's something I always wanted to do. So I'm gonna try and do the New York bar in July next year. See how it goes. Maybe move to New York. Maybe not. I always wanted to be a human rights lawyer. I love Amal Clooney. She's my idol. Do you know her?
I'm so bad with names. I need to actually.
George Clooney? Yeah. So his wife, he married her when she was 36 or something like that. And they're the fairy tale now.
Suits
vibes, big time, yeah. She's a big human rights lawyer.
Right, okay.
So she did negotiations with ISIS and everything like that. So she used to work in The Hague in the Netherlands in the International Criminal Court, and so she's a big inspo for me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm so bad with anybody who's in the government. I tried to register there to vote there only 2 weeks ago.
No.
Don't
tell me that.
So I'm shocking. And I don't, cause my passport is still Lithuanian. I can only register for the European elections.
Yeah.
Cause I'm here all my life, but I'm not arse changing nationality because I think it's cost you over $1,000 where I don't care.
Does it really?
Yeah,
you
just
have to apply for Irish citizenship though.
I think you still have to pay for it. I don't know. Maybe it depends how many. I didn't even look into it. Someone said that to me and I was just I'm not paying that. I'll keep me foreign passport.
No, look into that. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, because I was when I tried to register there, I was just I had to send off my passport, and then I was and they would only let me qualify for that because I didn't vote for anything. I haven't voted. All the girls would be voting for the abortion and all the other stuff that was coming up. But half the time I'm I don't even know what I'm voting for.
That's the thing though, there should be more information with young people about what actually is going on in the country, and that I don't know, because I feel as well,
but they're really going to feed you everything that's on the news.
I know,
because there's a lot of
the dangerous thing.
There's a lot of things I think that are I don't know.
Like fake news.
Not fake news, but like someone can sound really good what they're going to say they're going to do, but they don't actually end up doing it. Do you get me?
That's
like,
Irish politics, so.
Yeah, like, so I feel like, like, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things where like, oh, vote for us, vote for me, we're going to do this, do that, and they don't.
I guess there should be some type of like accountability though for what you say, that you follow up with it, and that's part of, you know, your job or your job spec. But yeah, Irish politics are a touchy topic.
Oh yeah, I don't even want to go into that,
but it's, I think it's so important to vote, and especially as a woman, like we didn't have, you know, the option to vote for so long. So when we finally got it,
when did that only get introduced? I'm like,
this is terrible. Maybe like in the 50s or the 60s, you're only allowed to start voting. I could be way wrong though. Could be the 80s as well. I should definitely know this. This is terrible. No, but I'm like real woman empowerment, and I'm like, I'm going to use my vote.
I'm like, feel like I need to Google this.
Yeah,
but,
get it up there.
Probably was around that. Yeah, that's not even actually that long ago.
No, but I think with the abortion referendum, like that was a really big one for me. I think it was so important that women have a right to be able to do what they want with their own bodies, especially as well after the Catholic Church had so much influence over Ireland for so long.
And babies were getting taken off.
Yeah, the terrible things happened.
That wasn't even that long ago either.
No, that was no. But I guess, look, I'm religious and I'm a Catholic, but yeah, I always believe in God, and I pray and I hope to always do good by everyone, you know, and be a kind person, be good to your neighbour, all that, you know, jazz. But I think what happened during those times was a terrible time for so many women in Ireland, and for that abortion referendum to pass, I guess it just gave them that bit of option and leeway to be able to actually have a right over your own body, which they didn't have for so long.
Because there's so many women that like easily could have been raped or whatever, didn't choose to have a child. Yeah,
there is scenarios like that, like very serious, where that wouldn't have been an option for them, but now it is. You know, to make a choice about what happens to their own body.
So many, there's been a few films, isn't it, that are out all about that.
Yeah.
And there is stories like that of women getting, and I think it was based on true stories of women actually getting raped. And
yeah, there's a really famous case, I think it's AG versus X, and it was about a girl, I don't know exactly, I should know the facts again about this, but it was a big case with the UK and Ireland, and that had similar circumstances to that. And that was kind of the start of how all of this unravelled, I guess, because if you're in situations like what you said, where something like that happens terribly to a woman, there wasn't really an option of what you do with the baby. You know, you didn't have a right to go and seek an abortion if that's what you wanted, or even go seek any help. You were just taken away and that was it. And what happened to your baby was up to the church. So yeah.
So with the Miss Universe?
Ireland.
Miss Ireland.
Or Miss World.
They confuse me all the time. Like.
There's a lot of pageants though, I have to say. Yeah. Well, Miss World and Miss Universe will kind of be the biggest ones, but you have Miss International, you have Miss Supranational, you have love.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so what's the preparation for it? Like, what would you have to do to even qualify to get in? Like,
so basically,
no, I'm not doing it around. I'm listening.
You're going to enter next year, are you? Come on.
For Miss Kula. That's how I'm going to try enter for Miss Kula. Yeah.
Look, if Miss Blanchestown, we got this. No, but honestly, it's a great experience, even just entering into it. Like, you learn a lot about yourself. But my kind of journey now, I guess, to Miss World in either February, March, April, one of those months. It has to probably be sometime at the start of the year. As I said, we still don't know. But there's a lot that goes into it. So mostly for Miss World, you have beauty with a purpose. And that's kind of what you advocate for. You know, what your project is to change something that you're passionate about. So I've written I've now completed them. I'm like still in that. I've written books for children, basically. So I have 3 books, and it's a specific way.
Do you like well-published books?
They're not fully done yet, so I'm still the last final touches, but it has taken months. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. So since last November, I had the first book, and it was called Sunny in the Safe Harbour. And that was basically a book which had underlying social issues about domestic violence, but it was read to an audience of very small children. I think they're junior infants, so they would have been 4 or 5. And what I wanted to do was, in the book, I talked about, it's all also like Irish locations, and, you know, they have an animal and a person in the book. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of create this bubble of, I don't know how to explain
like
it, but
something easier to understand for kids that age.
Relatable, a relatable bubble. So I talked about, you know, having a safe place and where you feel safe. And as I said, it's underlying social issues of domestic violence. You know, where does a child feel safe? Do they feel safe in their home, or do they feel safe with their mommy, or do they feel safe with their daddy, or something like that, you know, and opens up a conversation with them at a very young age about where they feel most safe at. And it's an easy way to kind of indicate what's going on in a child's life, which is also another thing. You know, because
from the book, you're able to tell?
Well, from what I did was I asked them then to draw like where they feel the most safe, and their kind of perception of what a safe haven looks like. So, you know, from drawings with kids, you can tell a lot of what's going on in their life. And obviously I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. So, but when kids draw certain pictures of, you know, maybe you might, you know, not have their dad in the picture, or not have their mom in the picture, and then you ask them like why, or I mean, not saying that that's anything wrong with that, because obviously not everyone has a traditional family, but usually there's indications in the picture of what, you know, could be going on at home just from a child's drawing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But in the book, like, it had affirmations as well, which I thought it's really important actually at a young age to, you know, look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, you know, I am smart, or I am brave. And in a book, to repeat those things with children in a classroom at a young age, it installs more confidence into them, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think that should be practiced. That's like I've only ever learned what affirmations were probably about 2 years ago.
I'm not gonna lie, same. Like, it's not something that I ever used to stand in the mirror and be like...
I used to be thinking it's funny, like...
Yeah.
I'd be, like, if I ever thought of anyone speaking to themselves in the mirror, I'd be, like, thinking they're gone mad, or that sounds insane, where now I believe it because I understand behind of the reasons behind it, of why you'd do...
Yeah.
You'd say these things to yourself, like...
That's exactly, though, the reason, because, you know, as I said, that's something I never did when I was growing up, and... To be honest, as much as I guess people perceive that I'm very confident, I really wasn't confident. I didn't have a good experience in school with bullies and things like that. And it really did, I guess, trump my confidence, because growing up, I guess, you know, people think because you enter into these pageants. Now, I have to say the pageants definitely did help me get more confident. Yeah, for sure. Because after a while as well, when I finished my education, I started to realise like who I was and what I have to bring to the table. And that's the perception I took on the last time I entered, you know, into Miss Ireland. I was like, this is who I am, and this is what I can bring to this organisation and to bring to the world stage that Ireland can offer. And that's also when I started reading affirmations. And there's a book by Roxy, do you know it?
Manifest and then dive deeper. Yeah.
So like I started reading that, and as much as people say, oh, you know, you can't just think of something and it appears. Like, no, definitely not. But you can definitely visualize something and work toward it.
Yeah, I feel like people look at it completely different. It's, you visualize it and then you think about it all the time. So, well, as you said there, like, because you're thinking about it all the time, you're constantly going to work towards it. Where if you just, like, the amount of times you'll get an idea or a thing that you're like, oh, that'd be great if I had that, or if I done this. And you just thought of it and you left it there. You're never, because you're going to be like, oh, that's not possible. And then you just, it just fades away then, where you're constantly saying these things to yourself, or like have a little vision wall there. You're going to work towards it more.
It is. And especially when you do those vision boards and you see that every day and you think to yourself, like, I always say to myself, if someone else can do it, why can't I? You know, because there are so many people who start off in even worse situations than us, or, you know, or than me, and they do it. So it's all about your mindset, and it's also about having good people around you, because there's a lot of, you know, I don't understand this. I lived in Dubai for a year or two, and I worked with a hedge fund, and I also felt everyone in Dubai was way more willing to help your dreams become a reality than they were here at home. I feel like a lot of people at home, they're, you know, angry and spiteful, and they don't always appreciate kind of, I guess, that the progress in it, what it is in helping someone. You know, if you
they don't want
me,
you being better than them, like, or doing better.
I'm like, why? Like, you know, why not all help each other, and why not say, yeah, look, I can link you with this person, he could help you, and that will come back on you. And in life, that's a huge thing. The people are very close-minded to achieving things that they think are not obtainable, which they so are.
Yeah,
You know?
I've definitely
experienced that.
Yeah, like, it's the amount of times I've wanted to say, if I was to go and do something, like, you get laughed at, or like, are you mad? Like, like, what, you're paying this or this and that, and then you'll go off and do it, and then a few months later, then they're like,
look at you being different.
Like, it actually worked out, and no one's actually judging you. Like, have the time and like say there's something that I want to do. I actually don't want to say it until it's done.
Well, that's terrible,
because
isn't it? Yeah.
It feels like they'll just put like a bad kind of energy around it, or like talk negative about it, and just kind of not turn you off it, but like you get so excited about doing something, and then someone has this negative look on it, or like, what are you doing that for? It kind of, you're just kind of like, why am I doing that? You start questioning it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why there's always this kind of saying where it's like, don't like, keep your cards close to your chest. And I think in life, like, that's why it's important to have a good circle around you of people and friends and family that, you know, you can share your ideas with, and someone's not going to say, oh, that will never work. But I always think as well in life, I love when people say that, because I'm like, watch me make it work. You know?
And it kind of pushes you more.
Great to go back and be like, look, I told you, didn't I? I told you what I was going to do, and look, you didn't believe me. But that is, again, you know, people are entitled.
It does. It's kind of, it does kind of push you more, doesn't it?
They're entitled to their own opinions, but some people are very close-minded, and it's not as well. I always think to take into...
I feel like a lot of people think that, like, if someone is doing well, or someone has this, or someone's doing that, it's because they had
it or something like that.
Like that they didn't work hard, and they didn't, you'd like, but like, what was their background to this, or why, like, they're doing this because and you're like, you don't, how? No, it's not like that.
It's terrible though, because I guess, see, the thing is, I always think in life the best way to succeed is to have a mentor, and so many people could succeed and have a different outlook on life if they had a different perception of what success is.
Would you have had a mentor for?
Well, my parents are both entrepreneurs. They have their own businesses, and
what do they do? If you don't,
they have restaurants.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So like, what restaurants have they got?
In Blanchardstown, actually.
Shout out.
Shout out. So we have Rudy's restaurant.
Oh my God, no way.
In Blanchardstown, and Maximilian's Bistro, Gourmet Pizza Factory, and Taste of Italy downstairs.
Oh my God,
so they're all pretty much in Dublin 15.
Yeah.
We're repping for Dublin 15.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, they've worked, and they've had previous businesses as well where they've opened with nothing. They had nothing when they met, and they've started with peanuts and made it into, you know, something that they are very proud of. And I've grown up, I guess, around all of that, where I've always seen my parents work for themselves and open businesses and lose businesses and open again and try again, and trial and error. And now I'm sure from the outside people have their perception of what, you know, your lifestyle is, etc. But you don't see how much work goes in behind the scenes. You know, my dad used to work 90 hours a week in our restaurants. I never, growing up, but he wasn't really there, and he missed out on so many things when we did grow up. But I don't ever say, like, Dad, I wish you were, different, or, because his work ethic has inspired me to have that work ethic, and I'm so grateful that he has worked so hard in life to,
and he's done it all for you, to provide for you and his family. So if you look at it that way,
he's not doing it for the joy of, not spending time with us or not being at home with my mom, or he did all of that, off his own back, and he's just the hardest worker ever. And he's 71 now, and he still is just like a powerhouse. He's
That's
my
good.
biggest inspiration. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at him and I feel like, wow, like what am I doing with myself? I'm 26 and I'm tired, and he's still flying around at like 9 p.m.
He's probably
You know?
keeping fit and looking after his health and stuff, is
That's
he?
it. Yeah. Like I always think as well, it's mind over matter. If you keep your mind occupied and you're constantly doing something that, you know, makes you feel good, and you're working towards something, that you have a really good outlook on life, where if you sit and dwell in it, it can become very toxic. And like, I'm guilty of that myself. Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, oh, what am I doing with myself? You know, everyone talks about you get this big break, or you're going to wait for this, or, you know, I should be doing this, or should be doing more. And then I'm like, you know what? Life, you're meant to be wherever you are in life. And if you just work toward the one thing that you want, if you take baby steps every day, eventually you will get there. But it's just about taking that 1% every day. I think that's another book.
One
actually.
step every day.
Atomic Habits. Very good read.
Yeah.
Everyone has to read that.
I love an Audible.
An Audible. I haven't read that. Oh,
I know,
Audible
like,
book.
yeah, I
Sorry.
haven't read that. But yeah, I love just when you're sitting in the car. Like I'd be in the car a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like it's I listen to that on the Audible. It's very repetitive, but that's what a habit is.
That's it, though. That's very
it
true,
makes
yeah.
sense. Like
It's about doing the same thing over and over until it just becomes something that you don't even know you're doing. Something
Yeah.
say like it takes 21 days to form a habit. Is that what it is?
I think it
27
says. I think I seen somewhere that it's 21 days, but then it's even longer for other people. It can be.
Yeah.
Because then you can. That's where did I see this now? I think it's like 21 days, but then that's when you start itching or something to like, because your body or your subconscious or your, what's the other word for it? Kicks, like what you normally do is in the back of your head, like it kicks back in.
Yeah, yeah, like
and
your
you're itching
subconsciousness.
to, say if it's the gym,
Yeah.
to like
That's a good. But that's
snap
a good,
out of it, like.
Yeah. The gym's always like, it's always good as well to work out and stuff. That actually helps
Yeah.
you so much in life. Like that's something I'm slacking at the moment. My workout ethic.
Yeah.
I'm like, will I go?
How
Will
are
I
you?
not
You look
go?
great.
Thank you.
Anyways, what I was going to say, I thought you were constantly.
I do love the gym and I love working out, but obviously when I was away as well, you know that way you just kind of get out of the routine, and then, but I'm hoping to get back into it. I have a really good PT, Hamza in Sweat Gym. I'll give him a shout out. He's the best. He kicks me into gear all the time. So I started doing high rocks in like January, that type of training, and I never did it before, but it's really good for your mind, you know, like I love it. I can't normally train now. I go into a gym
this
and I'm
big
like,
hype now, isn't it?
yeah,
The high rocks.
I didn't even know
My
what
friend's
it was.
doing it as well now.
We should all do it. There's a competition in Dublin.
It's
in
like
November.
everyone is either running, either high rocks, or
I just seen that the Gen Z generation, like that's our generation, I think. Yeah, it is. We're in that. Is like the lowest generation to consume alcohol that they've ever had on record.
I was only thinking that a while ago, that
Yeah.
like even the kids nowadays, like obviously they're all looking at Instagram and they're like looking at who they're influenced by, and all these people are putting up only their best bits of going to the gym, eating the good food, and you're not going to put up all the shy stuff that you do. So they're looking at that and it's inspiring them to do that. You'll see kids now in the gym, and you know, it's a bit worrying sometimes. You're looking at them and you're like, your form, you're probably going to break you're probably going to break something there. But it's good to see that that's what they're doing now instead of.
Yeah, definitely though, because I guess it is like a hype now, isn't it? Like everyone's into fitness, but it's amazing to see, because the other side of Ireland is there is a big drinking culture, and I'd rather more people go into fitness than that, you know what I mean? Because that literally kills your motivation. Like there's no tomorrow. You know, you get into that cycle of constantly going to the pub every weekend and doing the same thing over and over. Eventually you just become like a sheep, and it's hard to break out of that cycle. Because we've grown up, obviously, in Ireland, and that's a massive thing here. That's part of our culture, you know, like, go down to the pub every weekend, or, you know, you're sitting there and you have to have a drink, and it's like a social thing nearly, when in actual fact it actually has so many disadvantages.
Yeah, you don't realise you actually don't need to drink. I went to Coldplay there the other night, and I drove back, didn't drink, and I was just like, I actually had a ball.
Am I okay?
Like I was like, I actually had a ball, because I kept thinking of doing it, but you're always going to get that like, oh, your friends are going to think you're boring, or
That
you're not
is
going to
as
enjoy
well.
yourself as much, or like people will feel awkward around you because you're sober, because
Yeah.
they'll feel like they're annoying you. Because I've come across, say if I was out on a night out and I'll see someone sober, then I'm kind of like overthinking,
Yeah,
Scarlett,
the fear
like
of God tomorrow, because they know
Yeah,
everything.
like they're
not going to forget anything.
yeah, like they were sober and I was gargled or pissed or whatever, but like it's not actually like that.
I know.
So
But people are more, as I said, it's also about who you surround yourself with, because good friends as well. Like if you're going through a hard time and you're having a problem with alcohol or something like that, or any substance, it's good friends that will turn around and be like, it's okay that, you know, you don't want to drink, like we won't drink, or, you know, we won't go to somewhere where there's loads of drink, or don't feel like you have to, you know, be pressured to drink. Because it is, as I said, a big thing in Ireland. And it's good that, like, the generation now is leaning way towards, you know, health, fitness, where you're eating. Like, for me, food is a big thing. Like, I have to only eat, like, organic meat and stuff. I just have this thing in my head about it. I'm like totally freaked out by like just normal chicken fillets, because I'm like, where do they come from?
Oh yeah, really, was the animals injected and all that?
It's terrible though, because as well, like all of that type of like pesticides that's put in food and white sugar and all of those things. I know it sounds so dramatic, but it really does actually affect you in the long run, because we're not used to all of that. That's not how we've, you know what I mean?
I am like obsessed listening to this doctor who's like in America. And
Better not be Dr. Phil.
No, Dr. Aoibhneas.
Oh yes, he's a nutritionist or something, isn't
No,
he?
he scans brains.
Oh right.
He
Okay,
was on a few podcasts, and I'm like, it's just mad. He speaks about like what one drink a week can do to your brain.
Oh
what,
my God,
like,
I've seen that. He's bald.
Yeah,
Is he?
and he like talks about like how like even he talks about how we want to increase blood flow to your brain and like bring down any inflammation. So even like having anything like say gum disease or being your gums being inflamed will affect your gut, which also affects your brain. So it's like he's like the importance of flossing all the time and all the stuff that we eat, drinking. So I'm just kind of like even coffee. I was like, I stopped drinking coffee a while ago, but now I'm like, I don't even want to touch it anymore.
I absolutely love coffee, but I know it's so bad.
Decaf. He said he drinks decaf.
I know, but I'm like, you don't get the same like,
I know,
caffeine
but I'm
hit
like,
in the
you
morning.
love drinking coffee because half the time it's like the taste.
Yeah.
So like if you just switched it over, you probably won't. Because half of the time it's the thought in our heads that we're drinking the coffee, you were going to get the buzz of the caffeine. So if you just thought you were drinking a coffee, you'd probably convince yourself that you have that bit more
it's
energy.
like the placebo effect. So I'll know that there's no caffeine and be like, I don't feel it at all. I'm so tired.
Yeah, because I just like the taste of it. So like a decaf coffee for me is great.
Yeah, that's true though, I guess.
But yeah,
I always
like
just need to wake up.
Listening to him, you're just kind of like, you need to be like literally like you're near enough like a robot or something, not do anything bad.
I know, but that's the thing as well. We live in a world now where it's hard, to
you can't be perfect at the end of the day.
Exactly. And you can only make small changes to have a better lifestyle, a day at a time.
Yeah.
You don't need to make drastic changes. Like you see these people and they're out there buying juicers and like, right, that's it. I'm never going to eat anything again except carrots.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not going to work. You know what I mean? You have to take small steps to implement healthy routines and habits into your diet. But I do think it's a big thing, diet. And, it's Irish people as well are very inclined to, really quickly, like if you have a headache, like here's a paracetamol or something like that, whereas with my experience, I've seen like a lot more kind of foreign families would be more inclined to do like a herbal method rather than, take that paracetamol or, have a tea or do that. And I guess as well, this generation is moving towards more of that type of herbal approach to their diets as well.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't take anything unless, like, say, a paracetamol, unless I was absolutely like, this headache is it's not going away, like hours.
Yeah.
I just, because I do think.
That could be probably your foreign mom, though, is it? Is she like real, like.
I don't know. Yeah, I try like I'll take a load of like say people are, like say my friends and all are gonna be like, yeah, she takes loads of tablets, but they're all supplements.
Yeah, that's
like
different,
so they're not like. But I tend to like I wouldn't want to take any painkillers or anything like that unless because it's like if I can go away naturally, maybe I just need a bit more water. That's the way I look at it.
That is a massive thing, though.
Yeah.
I'm like I always feel like when I have headaches, someone used to always say to me like, just drink water, and I'd be like, it's not going to work, like it's a headache, but that actually makes total sense.
Yeah, you're probably just dehydrated, yeah.
And you have it, like, even sometimes when I think I have the biggest appetite ever, I'm like, oh my God, I'm starving. And someone like, you just had a steak dinner, like, seriously. But it's that you're thirsty. Do you know where you...
Yeah, that is another thing, yeah. You can be thirsty, but then think you're hungry. Yeah, I heard that in a few podcasts and stuff that I read.
Yeah.
Like, if you're, would you be bad for drinking the water? Yeah. I can be as well.
Like,
and then I'll pick at stuff, or like the other day, like
snacks,
me
binge eating. That's what it is for me. The worst.
Yeah. Like, my partner was going into the garage there and the other day, and he was like, "Do you want that?" And I was like, "Oh, I'd love like a real flavoured drink and get me chocolate." And then I was like, "Do you know what? I'm probably just dehydrated. Why do I want the proper?" Because it's the drink didn't even do anything for me, and it was full of sugar.
Yeah,
I was literally just I was sitting there and I was like, I actually had no water today. That's probably why I'm like craving all these things.
But it's the small little things when you're like conscious about that. It's easier, but. Yeah, like sometimes.
Yeah, no, I still ate the drink. I drank the drink, and I still ate the bar. But I was like, I think it was just the water that I needed, because that didn't do anything for me.
It is though, you know.
But yeah, so what would be your next thing on your list? What are you looking to achieve now?
So, I guess my beauty of purpose now is I did these books and I'm doing literacy hubs. That's what I want to do. I want to try and integrate literacy hubs into the likes of India, into the likes of, you know, South Africa and places like that. And I love books. My granddad like really inspired me growing up to read and, you know, study and to be educated. And I'm hoping as well to bring that more to Ireland, you know, to have the likes of like book vending machines in like the Phoenix Park, where you can take a book, or a stranger leaves a book and, you know, you can sit down and just read a few lines of it. You know,
yeah, I actually seen a few of them.
Yeah, I'd love to do. That's what I'm trying to do at the moment. So I'm working on that project, and obviously my little books as well. I want to publish them and make literacy kits. So like you have the book and then some physical kind of teddy bear that relates to the story. So it's not just visual; it's physical. If that makes sense, so it becomes more of an easier learning experience. And then get ready for Miss World, I guess, and the bar, the New York bar. Miss World, is in, as I said, start of the year, I think. And, you know, I need dresses and I have to get my sponsors together. And, you know, I do believe in, you know, I always think it's beneficial to do some coaching. I don't think to be overcoached is anything that I would ever want. But, you know, to be able to stand up and present yourself and try to get your best point across. I always say, like, you know, it's like going into a job interview. You have to do your research of the company and the role before you go in. It's not that, you know, you're trying to be someone you're not, but it's also good to, you know, build those skills like communication skills, you know, how you carry yourself and how you get your message across, and is that the best way to speak, or should I be using my hands like I am here now? I don't know.
And where would you like, where, if someone was to go and look and do that, where do they...
There's pageant coaches, and then also there's speaking coaches in Ireland. One of my sponsors, they're amazing, actually, Clear Dental. They always look after my teeth. They, when I was doing the Miss Ireland, gave me kind of a coaching voucher for, I think it's called speaking consultancy, somewhere in town. But, you know, you sit in a room and someone talks to you, and then they record you and they play it back, and they say like, oh, it's better if you say it like this or something like that. But like, that is actually such a beneficial tool moving into your adult life, because even public speaking in school, as much as everyone's terrified of it, we do need to talk and communicate in life. And if we can improve that at a young age and integrate it more into our adult life, it's so helpful.
Yeah, because the vocabulary that everyone would tend to use is what they know from growing up.
Similar,
and
yeah,
if
exactly.
they're from, like, say, I don't know, like, how do I say this without putting it wrong? Like, the people that they're around, and if they don't have a good vocabulary of what they're saying, that's the way they're going to tend to, like, people tend to say to me that I am really common, or like me partner and then my family would be like to me, oh, you need to stop cursing, like, you've said fuck about 20 times, or you've put, like, I'll say a sentence and I'll add 3 curse words into it.
That's just an Irish thing.
And he's like, there was no need for the fuck and the this and then that in this one sentence.
But when you become more aware of it, you just cut sort of certain things out of your sentences, do you know what I mean? But like, it's a really beneficial tool to be able to get up, and it gives you confidence. You you know, if you do something like 10 times, obviously you've done now this podcast, if you've loads of episodes, I'm sure, and you've interviewed loads of people. But like, say, even for me, this is my first time doing it. Like, if I did this like 10 times, like how chilled you are, I'm very chilled right now as well. But like, you know, you get used to it, and then it just becomes the norm. So the more you do something and the more you practice, especially with speaking and trying to get your message across, the easier it gets. And for me, it's a really beneficial tool for Miss World, because they essentially need a spokesperson. That's what they need. They need someone to, you know, travel around the world, bring their beauty with a purpose with them, go and integrate themselves into, you know, charities worldwide, and try to make as much of a difference as you can by raising awareness about how these people, you know, either live or what they need, or how the rest of the world can help that place that they're in. So for a Miss World not to be able to speak, or, you know, to go into Miss World without any training, I don't fully...
And present yourself not great, then
exactly.
that's
like,
not going to make the country look good.
You want to give your best self. You don't want to give a version of you that's not real or authentic either, but you do want to give yourself the best shot you have, because you're competing as well against all of these other amazing countries that have, you know, coaches, and, you know, they've been taught all these things since a very young age. Like the likes of Venezuela and stuff. They're in like pageant coaching when they're like 5. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying that's right either, but like, you know,
it's embedded in them.
Yeah, they just have it going on. That's why those women as well are so confident, the way they hold themselves, and they know exactly what they want in life. And I want to kind of give that opportunity, I guess, to the country, like that I'm the best representative to go for Ireland.
Yeah.
But yeah, and apart from that, obviously get my dresses, which I'm so excited about. I don't know where I'm going to get them yet, but that's also on the list soon. Definitely.
Thanks so much for coming on, Jasmine.
Thank you so much for having me, Demi. You too.
So if anyone's looking out to reach out, where can they find you?
My Instagram is Jazz, and my second name Gerhardt 21. Or if you want to get in touch with any of the charities, just get in touch with me as well. My email is the same, jasminegerhardt21@gmail.com, and I'll put you in touch with whoever you need to talk to. And yeah, so thanks so much for having me, Debbie. I really appreciate it. I hope this went well now.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks a million.